What's up, guys and gals? It's Griever back here, bringing you guys One Piece Chapter 1006 review. Now, this one's, I'm hoping, going to be a little shorter, guys. I didn't feel well all weekend, so I'm just sort of getting over it now, and that's why there was no content on Saturday. I'm trying to get some content out here at the end of Sunday, but now I'm pushed behind for a lot of stuff. So let's just try to get the One Piece chapter review out and see how we do. So, that being said, can I just say something? Can I just say, it's so nice to be right, isn't it? It's so nice to be proven right, because people have this idea in the One Piece community, before we even get into the review, that, once again, and it's not a terrible idea, but you got to use the terms very loosely. When people power scale, they say things like Admiral level, or Yonko level, or, in this case scenario, Yonko Commander level. Right? Now, there has been power scalers before that have figured this out, and there's a lot of people who have said, no, you can't just base it on that, because clearly, like, Shanks is up here, and this person down here, Whitebeard's clearly up here, and, Akainu is here. Well, we've been able to do that a long time, especially with things like the Warlords. Clearly, Mihawk is the strongest Warlord. He has been since the start of the series, and he's still to this day. Some people might argue that, but I think it's pretty basic. It writes itself. But here in this chapter, we get something that I've been saying, and people argued me about this, that I've been saying, is that the strongest commanders, because people use that, they use Yonko Commander as a, first mate, and it's not a bad thing to do, because, just look at the Straw Hat crew. Zoro's the strongest next to Luffy, right? Just look at Kid's crew. Killer's the strongest next to Kid, or if not stronger, by the way a lot of people are hating on Kid right now. But that's a general sense. But with Yonko, you have all these superpowered people. You know, with Big Mom's crew, you have Pero Sparrow, you have Daifuku, you have Katakuri, etc., etc. Then with Kaido's crew, of course, you have King, Queen, and Jack being the joke. And then with Shanks' crew, you've got Ben Beckman, but you've got Lucky Roo and Yasop, and guys that we know are super strong. Now, when we go on to Whitebeard's crew, there was always Marco the Phoenix. And the thing about Marco is that I have constantly said that the strongest, the Gorosei inverse, no better than us, outside as fan-based power scalers, the inverse characters, I would argue, know better about the levels of strength in some respect. And if nobody else, the Gorosei knows. So when they said, it's going to be another Yonko or Marco the Phoenix, Marco was said in the same breath as Yonko to somebody who could take out Blackbeard and his rise to power. So I always took that as Marco's really fucking powerful. Marco's probably the strongest thing, one of the closest, just like Rayleigh and all them. He's one of the dudes that is really freaking close to Yonko. He was just always under a different Yonko. The only other argument for this would be a guy like Ben Beckman. I think that Ben Beckman is probably right up there with Marco, but we don't know that yet. That's just my theory. But Marco here proves it in spades. He proves it completely in this chapter that Marco the Phoenix is not to be trifled with. The dude is, they use Yonko Commander level. Okay, fine. He's the top one then. This chapter has just shown it. He even goes on to say that he's going to have difficulty, or it's a struggle, beating up two Yonko Commander, beating up two dudes with billion-berry bounties. I have to stretch a little bit. It's a little tough. He's taking on Kaido's two strongest combatants by himself. Kaido, Yonko, the two strongest members of the whole crew, and Marco is throwing them through walls. They ain't the same. They're not on the same level. They ain't on the same tier. Once again, Yonko Commander is such a loose tier. I have no idea how powerful King or Queen really is, because they're being bitch slapped by Marco. fighting them on simultaneously. And now in this chapter, Perospero is now going to get some payback on Marco sort of idea. So now we have Perospero, king, and queen all just to push Marco down. I don't know where the Marco hate ever came from, but I just remember when I stated that Marco was probably the strongest of the Yonko commanders, everyone lost their shit on me. And, I mean, if it's going to take one of the strongest of Big Mom's crew and the two strongest of Kaido's crew just to take him down, then I think I'm right. So, it's just, this chapter was just fun for me as a Marco fan to watch all those naysayers have to now shut the fuck up because Marco is kicking the shit out of these guys. It's great. I just love it. But the rest of the chapter, before we get to, because that was like most of my review here, guys. And once again, I'm still pretty sick. Like, I'm just all groggy. So this is going to be more of a tangent rant sort of review. So Yamato is escaping with Shinobu with Momonosuke. We already know that. Sanji, once again, Sanji can't catch a break because now he's just being a moron here. It's like, oh man, oh, who's this? What's that? What's going on? Well, I need to go to Kinemon's group, but I also need to save Momonosuke. Where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? Like, dude, make a decision and go. Right now, we're in the middle of a war. Like, Jesus, and then he finally decides this way, but I think because I'm irritated with the sort of Deus Ex get out of the situation sort of card that Oda pulled last time with Sanji, I'm not a huge fan of any of Sanji's antics right now. I'm going to nitpick at them, right? So we see that Onigashima is getting closer and stuff. And here's the thing. Perospero went and took down Carrot and what's her name? I forget. But because the Sulong form did not last, so they weren't able to avenge Pedro, because the sort of the cloud cover over the moon and stuff, and sure, they might have been good combatants against Perospero in Sulong, but not outside of Sulong form, not just the pair of them. So they the moon was covered over now, and now they're getting they got their ass kicked, and Perospero goads Carrot, makes fun of her, and just says, get down in the dirt, that's where you belong, I won't even bother. What did you think would happen? That this would be all okay and stuff. So Perospero decides to walk on and just find it. He's like, I don't really feel like, because Perospero is not up for this alliance. It's not like the idea of this alliance. But at the same time, Perospero's like, well, for right now, we're going to show these supernovas, these children, we're going to show them what this is all about, right? Like, what it means to be a Yonko, what it means to have power. So, I mean, that's all pretty cool. That's all, we keep jumping through, because once we jump back to the rooftop, we're not going to leave the rooftop again for probably 3 or 4 more chapters at least. So right now, this is where Oda's he's already taken a break from the roof, so now he's going to show us as much as he can of what's going on with everybody else before he jumps back to the roof, because then we won't see them for a while. So we see that Hirogoro is back in full form. Now this is something that makes no sense to me. Apu seems to be somewhat alive and kicking, but very heavily damaged. X-Drake and Hirogoro the flower, they're right here. They're blocking so that Chopper can work on the cure for the Ice Oni disease and stuff, which is really cool, because X-Drake teaming up with Hirogoro just looks really badass, and none of them can get through, and it's like, well, because it's X-Drake and it's friggin' Hirogoro of the Flowers. It's like, goddamn, that dude in his prime was strong as shit. And now, somehow, he went back to his full form. Now, I read an unofficial translation, and I read an official translation right here with Viz. And I'm not going to judge it too harshly. I'm going to wait to watch other reviewers and see what they have to say about it, because to me, honestly, this makes no goddamn sense. This is just because they wanted to. It's a bad reason. It's a bad excuse, in my opinion. Oh, somehow, because I'm afflicted with the Ice Oni thing, I'm not just little tiny, old geezer form anymore. I went back to my prime, but it's eating away at my lifespan. It's like, what does the Ice Oni thing have possibly to do with Hirogoro basically being 20 years younger? Like, what does that have to do with it? It doesn't really make any sense to me. Not that Hirogoro isn't powerful right now, but I mean, it's cool, and I know what they're setting up here, what Oda's setting up with Hirogoro and stuff is cool and everything, and it's cool to see him be able to, like, talk trash and just be like, sword style, boom, 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 and take out a bunch of dudes. Like, it's really cool to see, but the reason we're seeing it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Let me know what you guys think. As I said, I've read this translation, I've read another translation, and both of them basically summed it up as, you know, the Ice Oni thing basically made it so it's like, it like souped me up and I'm being frozen and it's taking away my life, but you know, it's all the last vestiges of my life. Sort of, it's reminding me of that thing that people talked about in Hunter x Hunter with Gon. He's like, I'll take all the power I've had in the past and the present and fuse it into one so I can go adult Gon or whatever, however the hell that worked. I didn't read it yet, guys, so I don't know. But it sounds sort of like that, like Hirogoro's like, I'm taking every last minute of my life force, you know, from my future, every single second. So if he was going to live another year, he's taking all 365 days of it and pouring it into these 10 last minutes sort of idea. I once again don't have any idea how the Ice Oni disease thingy has anything to do with doing that ability, and that ability sort of does that crap, but alright. I mean, if there is a better explanation and I just missed it for some reason after reading it twice, I'm sick, guys. I've been sick all weekend, so, I mean, I could have missed it. But either way, it is hilarious because everybody else notices it too, and then he tells everybody that coming into contact with that virus has extracted all the strength I have to the very limit of my life. Which, I don't get it. But anyways, he says that he's going to leave it this way. He's going to begin to transform into the Ice Oni, and he wants the other Yakuza bosses who are all there to end his life, to commit seppuku before he turns into a monster. He's going to fight these guys. He's going to fight off. He's going to use his last final attack sort of idea. He's going to take out a bunch of dudes, and then you have to end my life. And they're all like, no. They can't do it. They can't do it. And then one of the lady one, I forget her name, basically says he's right. If he turns into an Ice Oni here, nobody on this floor can stop him. And because Hirogoro, he even says, because he talks about it later, saying that he regrets. There are times he thinks that he should have teamed up, because if Hirogoro the Flowers and Odin had teamed up against Kaido, they probably would have won. And that's been discussed previously, and he's holding that regret. That if he had challenged Kaido with you back at the peak of his strength, you know, we might not have had to go through any of this. However, looking at what your followers have done, looking what everyone else has done, looking that I found a new great pupil, a new great apprentice, because, of course, thinking of Luffy in Udon Prison, where he taught Riro to, and such, it's sort of a nice moment, because Hirogoro is seriously a badass. Everybody likes Hirogoro. I just wish that there was a better explanation for him to go super form, because then we have the Mimiwari Goro, something like that, the Mimiwari Garo. They are, of course, the samurai section, right? We saw the ninja section, the Obi-Waban. We saw their section of the Wano people of Orochi's people, but now we're seeing the samurai section of it, and it's like there's that dude with the sunglasses and stuff. Like, yeah, all right, well, like, we're gonna go fight him. Let's take him on. All the strongest samurai are now. The ones that aren't on their side are going to attack Hirogoro, and tells him that his old style's a relic of the past. It won't work, whatever, and he uses flaming hair of holy rage. Boom, takes out all the strong. From what we understand, it's basically the elite samurai that were under Orochi. He took them all out with one attack. So, and it's just badass. I don't really know how it worked. It just looks amazing. And then, as I said, like, Hirogoro this is sort of setting up once again for his death. I think that, the Tanuki-chan, I think that Chopper's going to be able to show up in time and save Hirogoro. If he doesn't, though, that will be a big casualty because we haven't really, there are no huge casualties yet. You know what I mean? There's not any major huge ones quite yet. Everybody's still combating, everybody's still fighting. You know, the Topiropo are still active, all the Straw Hats are around, all the, you know, the Kid Pirates, the Law Pirates, the Samurai. So the Red Scabbards are all alive from what we understand. So this would be the first major loss in the war since it started. And I don't know if Oda's going to go to the direction where Chopper comes out in time, or if they're actually going to let Hirogoro this be his final stand. It would work. I think it works either way. I think as a final stand, it works for Hirogoro because then it's just going to boost sort of the morale of the rest of the combatants and samurai to be like, avenge Hirogoro's death, and they're just going to go crazy and stuff. Queen tries to attack him, and that's when we get the Marco shots. Basically, it's they fight. I'd like to say it's they fight, but it's Marco taking on King and Queen at the same time and beating them through walls, slamming them down, takes King out, takes Queen out, and just, you know, Bluebird, Phoenix Brand, just all this stuff. And they're getting up. Don't get me wrong. They're getting up and everything. You know, he uses Phoenix Talons and all that stuff. And we're seeing just Marco being so flexible and stuff. Though he has taken some damage. We see him, the wear and tear on him. But it's not nearly what we've seen on King and Queen. So he's actually taking them on. And as I said, I laugh when he says holding off two guys worth over $1 billion at once is pretty rough. The fact that he is holding them off, though, and seems to be gaining ground, not losing ground, is, at the very least, he's fighting both of them on par to a stalemate. Like, it's just, I already had my Marco rant at the beginning of the review, so we'll sort of skip past that. You know, Parasparrow looking to take advantage because Parasparrow's a little bastard. And then we have the Yakuza bosses, the Ice Oni thing is taking over. The blue flames have sort of dissipated, and now they want to end it. Hirogoro is there, almost completely Ice Oni, saying, I leave the rest in your hands. Here ends the life of Hirogoro the Flower with no regrets. And the Yakuza bosses are about to, you know, take him down. They got to cut off his head. They're gonna do it. And as I said before, it wouldn't be bad because we need to see losses. Just like Marineford had major losses, this is a war against Yonkos. There needs to be losses. You know, there just has to be. Some might be minor, some might be major. You could argue that this is a minor loss, but it's a known, named character, you know, who was one of the driving forces, you know, behind this revolution, who gathered the Yakuza bosses, who was part of Udon prison and all that stuff. It's significant, it's relevant, and it's a great way to sort of end off chapter 1006, I think. I think Oda did a pretty good job of showcasing that to us. So either way, I thought that this chapter was fine. It's showcasing, once again, before we jump back to the roof, it's just showing us what's going on with everybody else, any major events that are happening, so that we can jump back to the roof without interruption again for another 4 or 5 chapters. That's what I think Oda's doing here, and I think it's fine. But what did you guys think of the chapter? Like, comment, and subscribe. As always, it's always very much appreciated. Don't forget, we are getting to 500 subscribers in the month of March. Not 300, not 400, but 500 subscribers. And we are like 10 subscribers away. We are so close to that goal, and that'll be really exciting to do a 500 milestone video in the first week of April. That'll be really fun. So thanks, guys, so much for watching. Don't forget to drink responsibly, as always, as you know I always do. And we'll see you back here next time. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen.